The 2024 NFL draft class is nearly one full year into their NFL careers, and some players are already making a significant impact on the franchise that selected them. Jayden Daniels and the Washington Commanders are heading to the playoffs for the first time since 2020, when they won the division with a 7-9 record. They had a tremendous turnaround in year one, but Jayden isn't the only rookie to have a big impact, not even close. The 2024 NFL draft class was regarded as one of the best over the past few years, and for good reason. There were several not just great prospects, but blue chip prospects at different positions like Marvin Harrison Jr. and Malik Nabers at receiver, Joe Alt at tackle, and Brock Bowers at tight end. And while Harrison Jr. hasn't had the success as some of his fellow 2024 receivers, he still went for over 800 yards and had 7 touchdowns in his rookie campaign. And based on how the rookie season went for the 2024 class, I truly think we are looking at a generational draft class. And in today's video, we're going to break down truly how rare this class is and why they should dominate for the next few years. Now let's begin. And we are starting today's video by discussing the quarterbacks from this class. Obviously, when you think of the 2024 draft class, the first thing you are probably going to think about is 6 quarterbacks taken in the top 12 picks and 3 in the first 3. Caleb Williams was a very highly touted prospect from USC, and the Bears are very much limping to the end of the year as it's been a very long season, but I don't think Caleb has played all that bad. There's a difference between what the expectations were for him a couple of months ago and what we've seen, and yes, you can make the argument that Caleb has not lived up to the expectations he had entering 2024, but I don't think he is destined to be a draft bust the way some people make him out to be. I am under the belief if the Bears hire the right coach that their future isn't doomed the way some people want to make it out to be. I also think it's fair to say that with how Jayden Daniels has panned out for the Commanders, and given that he was recently named a Pro Bowler as a rookie, the Caleb pick and everything that has ensued looks a lot worse. Jayden Daniels has thrown 25 touchdowns to just 9 interceptions as a rookie, and has ran for an additional 864 yards and 6 rushing touchdowns, and for him to have a 4,300 plus total yard rookie season is nothing short of spectacular. For Jayden in particular, I think his rookie season is the most impressive because I don't think his supporting cast is all that great around him, as his top 5 leading receivers are Terry McLaurin, of course, a 34-year-old Zach Ertz, Olamide Zaccheaus, Noah Brown, and Austin Eckler. Washington should be able to upgrade that this offseason, and needless to say, I really like the future with Jayden Daniels and the Commanders, and everyone does. They're 5th in the NFL in points per game and going to the playoffs for the first time in 4 years, and their future genuinely looks bright. I will stand by the take that I think Drake May is a budding star at quarterback, and that he is an absolutely terrible situation in New England. I think the flashes are there, and the good news for the Patriots is that they have a lot of money to work with this offseason, and I think he will be in the Pro Bowl conversation next year. We will break down the Patriots roster and offseason plan in a few weeks, but when your starting left tackle and left guard is Vidarian Lowe and Layden Robinson towards the end of the year, well, Patriots fans unfortunately see the price Drake May pays every week. But for him to complete nearly 67% of his passes, and for him to throw 15 touchdowns to 10 interceptions, while rushing for over 400 yards, to me is a sign of good things to come. It's a little early for Michael Penix at this point to call him a hit or miss as a draft pick, but I liked him a lot as a prospect, and I really like the situation he's in from a roster standpoint. The same applies to JJ McCarthy, as he unfortunately missed his entire rookie year due to injury, and the Vikings will be in an interesting situation this offseason. We mentioned this in a video released Thursday, but at this point I do think they will keep both Sam Darnold and JJ McCarthy in 2025, and unfortunately we may have to wait a little longer for JJ to play in an NFL game. Bo Nix of the Broncos is up, and I think Bo's had a solid rookie season all things considered. The Broncos have had their first winning season since all the way back in 2016, and obviously it's not due strictly to Bo, but for Bo to come out and have 0 touchdowns to 4 interceptions in the first 2 games of his career as they played the Seahawks and Steelers, to bounce back and now have 25 touchdowns to 12 interceptions through the first 16 games of his career, and an additional 380 yards and 4 rushing touchdowns on the ground, to me speaks volumes to the player he is. is. After the first 2 games, there was a lot of noise and a lot of people claiming victory laps about how they knew Bo Nix was going to be a draft bust since his days at Auburn, and how Denver took a gimmicky quarterback because Oregon didn't throw the ball a lot past 5 yards from the line of scrimmage last year, and how they were going to pay the price for the next couple of years. But I think Bo Nix has been fine, all things considered, and if anybody doubts Bo Nix at this point, look at the supporting cast from the receiving position, as I don't think it's all that good, and look at the fact that he has 29 total touchdowns in his rookie season. Now, if you want to get into the conversation of is he ever going to play at a Josh Allen level, that is a completely different conversation, and that's not a level that really many players in the history of the league have played at, as Josh is the only player in NFL history to have 4 seasons of 40 plus touchdowns. There always seems to be this level of, well, a player can be good, but because he's not the elite of elite, let's go ahead and take a victory lap, and that's kind of frustrating after watching a player have a good rookie season the way Bo Nix has. Now, when you look at the offensive linemen in this class, it starts with Joe Alt. Joe was a very, very good offensive tackle prospect, and I thought he was the best tackle since Penei Sewell came out of Oregon back in 2021. Joe Alt has played like that, and he is a really good offensive lineman, and he's only 21 years old, and I think this was pretty simple. Plug and play for several years, and I would be pretty surprised if Joe Alt is not a multiple-time Pro Bowler. And I'm not talking about a 2-time Pro Bowler either. And I think Joe can be a 4 or 5-time Pro Bowler and a potential Chargers Ring of Honor player if he stays healthy. That's the type of talent he has. JC Latham was dealt a tough hand in Tennessee, especially with the quarterback play, because if you look at JC's raw stats, the pressures given up are a lot, but they're certainly not all on JC, as the quarterback play has been pretty bad throughout the entire season, but I thought JC had a pretty good rookie season, all things considered. There's several other good offensive linemen in this class, and I think the Steelers have a pair in Zach Frazier and Mason McCormick. I think both players are going to start in the interior offensive line for the next couple of years, and I thought Zach Frazier was snubbed from the Pro Bowl as he only allowed 11 pressures and over 500 pass blocking snaps, and I thought he had a really, really good rookie year. There's several starters along the offensive line throughout every round of the draft from the 2024 class, and Dominic Pooney for the 49ers is another one, and I think the Ravens got a potential draft steal in Roger Rosengarten in the second round. I honestly thought Rosengarten was going to be a bit of a project, but he's more than held his own at right tackle, and I thought Rosengarten was going to be a guy that you sit for year 1 and potentially start in year 2, but credit the Ravens for drafting a starter in round 1. The offensive line class is of course led by Joe Alt, but like we mentioned, there's several players that have contributed significantly throughout the 2024 season. Amarius Mims has played better recently for the Bengals, and I think he's going to be a good long-term starter, and the only question for him that I have that he dealt with at Georgia is health. If he can stay healthy, he is a Pro Bowl level talent, and I think the Bengals have their guy of the future, again, barring injury. The pass rush from the 2024 draft class is of course led by Jared Verse, who has 75 pressures on the year and is top 5 in the NFL in pressures. Not top 5 amongst rookies, as he is of course number 1 amongst rookies, but top 5 in the entire NFL. Chop Robinson had immediate impact in year 1 for the Dolphins, as he has 50 plus pressures, and I thought it would be a bit of a transition year for Chop Robinson, but for him to show these types of flashes that we've seen from him really all throughout year 1 from the day he took the field is nothing short of encouraging, and I think the Dolphins have a true day 1 pass rusher in Chop Robinson, and I'd be pretty surprised if he's not a double-digit sack player in 2025. There's other good passers from this class like Laiatu Latu, who was drafted by the Colts in the first round, and the Vikings drafted Dallas Turner over Jared Verse, and obviously there has been some pushback from the fan base seeing how Jared Verse has played versus Dallas Turner, but Dallas Turner has also showed flashes, not to the level Verse has of course, but he's only 21 years old and I think he will be a good player with time. But for now, this class is of course led by Jared Verse and even his teammate Braden Fisk, and both players will be a part of the Rams' future plans for the next several years, and they too play a tremendous part as to why the 2024 draft class has been so dominant. Graham Barton of the Bucks, Bo Limmer of the Rams, and Jackson Powers Johnson of the Raiders have all been big contributors for the teams that selected them. The 2024 class had it all, from quarterback play to receiver play, which we'll get to in a minute, in the trenches. The 2024 class is generational in terms of the talent it produced, and we're seeing that just 1 year in. And before we get to the receivers, I do want to talk to you guys about today's sponsor, OddsJam. And before we continue, I ask the question of, are you looking to up your game in sports betting? If you are, meet OddsJam, the ultimate ally in the world of data-driven wagering. With over 260 sportsbook under its belt, OddsJam is the go-to platform for savvy bettors, and here's how it works. OddsJam arbitrage tools scans the market in real time, spotting differences in betting lines across various sportsbooks, and this means you can lock in risk-free profits by betting on both sides of the market. But that's not all. OddsJam also provides a positive EV calculator to optimize your bets and a handy bet tracker to monitor your profits. By using OddsJam, you're not just betting smarter, you're betting responsibly for long-term profitability. And here's the kicker: they offer a 7-day free trial. So if you're ready to give it a shot, use code GFB for a 35% discount on your first payment, either monthly or yearly. Secure your bets with confidence, make informed decisions with OddsJam, and always gamble responsibly. The 2024 wide receiver class could merit an entire video on its own, and maybe it will someday. Right now, there's two 100-catch, 1,000-yard players from the 2024 class in their rookie season, and technically one is a tight end in Brock Bowers, which adds to the insanity of pass catchers in this class, and the other, of course, is Malik Nabers. Nabers was drafted into a terrible situation from a receiving standpoint as his opening day quarterback, who, by the way, was signed to a $160 million contract, isn't even on the roster anymore. Yet he still went out, put up a 100-catch, 1,100-yard season at just 21 years old. I know people love to be reactionary with takes, and there's a lot of takes that get exposed on Twitter in the heat of the moment, but I really do think Malik Nabers can be in the same tier as other LSU wide receivers in Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase. He just needs a quarterback. Nabers' college teammate Brian Thomas Jr. also had an insane rookie season, and BTJ was even getting passes thrown to him by Mac Jones for a good portion of his rookie season, yet put up over 1,100 yards and double-digit touchdowns, again at just 21 going on 22 years old. When I made the 2024 receiver rankings video last February, I titled it a once-in-a-lifetime class, and I'll be honest, I thought a lot of the guys would be good, hell, even great from this class, but I didn't think multiple players would be this good this fast. BTJ was snubbed from the Pro Bowl, but I have no problem calling him a franchise cornerstone, and the same applies to Nabers. Ladd McConkey was the 9th receiver drafted, and he even went for 1,000 yards as a rookie as a second-round pick. He had multiple games with 2 touchdowns as a rookie and certainly played a big part in the Chargers bouncing back from 2023 to 2024 the way they did. Oh, and so did his teammate Joe Alt, who is also in this video for a reason. Now, with Marvin Harrison Jr., I did say that he was the best player I ever evaluated when he was coming out of Ohio State, and that's a take I stand by from a prospect standpoint. But there seems to be this notion, at least on Twitter, that Marvin is a borderline draft bust just 16 games into his career, despite putting up over 800 yards and 7 touchdowns in his rookie season. Now, it is unfortunate for Marvin that other players in the 2024 class are having truly elite rookie seasons, but calling a player a draft bust after having the type of rookie season Marvin had is ridiculous. There are several franchises that would gladly take 800 yards and 7 touchdowns from any receiver, let alone a rookie. Did he underwhelm relative to the hype he had entering 2024? I think you can argue that yes, but to call him a bust less than 20 games in is ridiculous, and I also think he will get better with time. And despite the Bears having a brutal 2024 season after all of the hype they received over the summer, Rome Odunze still had over 700 yards, and I would be very surprised if he's not a 1,000-yard receiver in year 2, assuming he is the number 2 option behind DJ Moore and he progresses like he should. This doesn't even mention guys like Xavier Worthy, who has also had a solid rookie year, as well as Keon Coleman and Ricky Pearsall, who recently had a big game against the Lions on Monday night. Jalen McMillan of the Bucks also quietly was a touchdown machine this year, and I think there's a very real possibility where there's 6 or 7 players who go for over 1,000 yards in 2025. And with Nabers and Thomas, who had bad quarterback play for a significant portion of their rookie year, guys, the sky is the limit for these two. I wouldn't put it past either player having a 1,400 or 1,500 yard year in 2025, along with double-digit touchdowns. When you think of the 2024 draft class, the first thing that will naturally come to mind is 6 quarterbacks taken in the top 12 picks, but this wide receiver class absolutely lived up to the hype, and I truly believe 1 year later that it is a once-in-a-lifetime receiver class. The 2024 running back class was not as hyped up as other classes, and it did not have a Bijan Robinson or a Jahmyr Gibbs or an Ashton Jeanty like the 2025 class does, but I honestly think they're holding their own a year in. Bucky Irving went for over 1,000 yards as a rookie, and Tyrone Tracy has proven to be a bright spot on an otherwise bad Giants team, and I also think there's a lot of potential with other backs from this class like Isaac Arenda with the 49ers, Audric Estime of the Broncos, Trey Benson of the Cardinals, and I am holding out hope that Jonathan Brooks of the Panthers can get healthy, and I am rooting for him as he continues to recover from an ACL tear. But that was not the strength of this class, and again, I think they are holding their own. Now, the secondary in this class is of course led by Eagles corner Quinyon Mitchell, and Quinyon had a phenomenal rookie season and rightfully earned the nickname Guantanamo Bay. But Quinyon was not the only secondary player from this class, as there were several great players from the 2024 draft class. Cam Kitchens had several interceptions, Kamari Lassiter also had a really good year, Kalen Bullock had a really good year, and the Texans had 8 interceptions from this class alone from 2 2024 selections in Kalen Bullock and Kamari Lassiter. And when you look at the 2024 draft class, there's talent all throughout, even in the linebacking core too, whether it's Edgerrin Cooper, whether it's Peyton Wilson. I really think the 2024 class and the back end of the defense is a tad underrated because there isn't a household name, and I do think Quinyon Mitchell may be on his way to becoming a household name, but heading into the draft, none of these guys were anywhere close to as highly touted as a Sauce Gardner or as a Kyle Hamilton, but we're a year into their careers, and there are several great players that have very, very bright futures. And I know there's a lot of people sitting here probably thinking right now, why didn't you say the player on our team, like the Chargers with Tarheeb Still and Cam Hart, a corner duo that was selected 4 picks apart on day 3 of the 2024 draft? Or how about the Packers defensive back Evan Williams, who has had a very good year and has been an underrated player all throughout the 24 season? We already discussed Edge Cooper, and I think he is a legit superstar in the making. I know the Commanders' first round pick, Jayden Daniels, obviously gets a lot of love, rightfully so. He's going to win the Offensive Rookie of the Year, but I really love their selection of corner Mike Sanderstill and think he will be a good player for Washington for years to come. Or how about the 49ers defensive back duo of Renardo Green and Malik Mustafa? I absolutely love Malik Mustafa, and I think he is going to be a potential Talanoa Hufanga replacement this offseason, as I think he'll leave in free agency, and I think Mustafa is a budding star at the position, and it wouldn't surprise me at all if he makes a Pro Bowl in his career, maybe even 2. He is a very, very good player. The Giants obviously haven't had a lot to cheer about this year outside of Malik Nabers and Tyrone Tracy, but Drew Phillips and Tyler Nubin have been very good, and so has their entire 2024 class. This draft class as a whole is one of the most talented we've seen in the past few years, and I cannot wait to see how these guys' careers play out. This term is used far too often, but I really think as an overall draft class that this will prove to be a generational draft. I hope you enjoyed today's video, and if you did, please like and subscribe, as only about 44% of people watching are subscribed. It helps the channel tremendously. Thank you to OddsJam for sponsoring today's video, and until next time, please be safe and have a great day. Love you guys.